you know not to go up to your chest in certain swamps. Forget the giant snakes. When you fall into that nightmare soup at 2 in the morning and you get that black water on you and there's things going up your pants, it's like you are in a festival of sex and death.
A newly discovered ancient Mayan city, a rock fortress 650 feet above the ground, and the lost city of the monkey god. These are ancient structures found in jungles that shouldn't exist. This is super exciting because it's a very recent find. In southeastern Mexico, a team of archaeologists has uncovered a hidden ancient Mayan city, more than 6,000 structures, including pyramids, all buried under thick vegetation. The city has been dubbed Valeriana, and it was revealed thanks to LiDAR, which stands for Light Detection and Ranging. It's a laser-based mapping tool that uses airborne sensors to scan the landscape. The data, collected back in 2013, as part of a forest monitoring project, wasn't actually being used for archaeology, but when researchers took a closer look, they saw this sprawling Mayan city. And according to Luke Thomas, the study's lead author, our analysis revealed not only a picture of a densely settled region, but also a lot of variability. End quote. This wasn't just a small settlement, but a large city, potentially home to 30 to 50,000 people between 750 and 850 CE. The city was hidden in plain sight, with farmers unknowingly working among the ancient ruins. And it's amazing because 6,764 structures have been found, and as Thomas put it, there is much more to be discovered. When I first saw an image of this place, I thought that it may have been an AI-generated image, but it isn't. Despite how fantastical this place looks, it's actually real. This is the Sigiriya rock fortress in Sri Lanka. High in the jungles of Sri Lanka, there's a towering rock fortress that doesn't look like it should exist. Sigiriya, also known as Lion's Rock, was built in the 5th century CE by King Kashyapa, who constructed this place on top of a giant boulder that rises 200 meters or about 650 feet above the ground. To enter the place, visitors had to climb this massive staircase that passed through the mouth of this colossal lion sculpture. After Kashyapa completed the palace, his brother launched an attack. Kashyapa's army abandoned him, and the king's wives jumped to their deaths from the top of the rock, and the fortress eventually was captured and fell into ruin. For centuries it was forgotten, first as a royal palace, then as a Buddhist monastery. When European archaeologists rediscovered it though, they were stunned. The lion entrance, real. The palace's mirror wall, designed to reflect the king's own image as he walked through, real. Today, UNESCO calls Sigiriya the 8th wonder of the world. What you're looking at here is known simply as the lost city of Colombia. In the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta Mountains is a city that was lost to time for centuries. About 1,300 years ago, the Tairona people built an incredible city on top of the hills. And the story goes that they'd been instructed by their god, who told them to live as close as they could to the stars. For 700 to 800 years, people lived here until the Spanish conquistadors arrived, and the Tairona never encountered the Europeans themselves, but the diseases that they brought spread rapidly and wiped out the entire civilization. With no one left to care for it, the city fell into ruin and was mostly forgotten. It wasn't until the 70s that a group of bandits passing through the jungle came across this hidden city, and they couldn't believe their eyes. An ancient overgrown city full of precious artifacts. Pretty amazing. The bandits pocketed what they could and sold their loot on the black market, and that's when archaeologists caught wind of this amazing discovery, and soon what was known only as the Lost City was uncovered after nearly 500 years. For centuries, there's been a legend of this hidden city deep in the jungles of Honduras. Hernan Cortés, the infamous Spanish conquistador, heard rumors of what was called the White City, or the City of the Monkey God, a place said to be full of unimaginable wealth. Cortés searched and searched, but he never found it, and neither did anyone else for hundreds of years. But the legend never went away. Even Charles Lindbergh, the famous American aviator, claimed to have seen this city while flying over the country. Others swore that they'd found it, but for one reason or another, they couldn't or wouldn't reveal its location. Then in the early 2000s, archaeologists came across something almost by accident. A team following the path described by one of the more eccentric individuals who claimed to have discovered it ended up finding this massive ancient city exactly where he said it would be. Deep in the rainforest, they uncovered a pyramid and a series of stone sculptures, remnants of some advanced civilization that had vanished more than 1,000 years before. Now, it's still not 100% certain if this truly is the city of the monkey god Cortez spoke of, but it is still proof of a lost civilization. The lost city, now known as La Ciudad Blanca, is just a reminder that legends are sometimes closer to reality than we may realize. What you're looking at here is the ancient city of Tikal, deep in the Guatemalan rainforest. This ancient Mayan city, thought to have been called Yaxmutal, was once the capital of a powerful Maya kingdom, occupied from around 200 to 900 CE. There were huge pyramids, royal palaces, massive stone monuments, some still standing today. As you can see, like a lot of Mayan cities, it's not super clear why it was abandoned. Could have been a combination of things, lack of resources, environmental changes. It wasn't until 1848, though, that an organized expedition rediscovered the place, but it's still one of the largest and best preserved archaeological sites in the Americas. These are the rice terraces of the Philippines. They're a pretty breathtaking feat of ancient engineering. These terraces, carved into the steep slopes of the Cordillera Mountains over 2,000 years ago, are often called the eighth wonder of the world, and for good reason. The terraces were designed to grow rice, but the real magic is in how they were built, using the natural contours of the land and without modern technology. Generations of indigenous Ifugao people with basic tools created all of this. And it's said the Ifugao people didn't just build the terraces, they became the land. They engineered intricate irrigation systems, creating channels and bamboo pipes that bring water from nearby rivers all the way up to the fields so that the crops are healthy even in the dry season. What's even crazier is that these terraces are still in use today. People are still farming rice on the very same terraces that were built over 2,000 years ago. San Agustín Archaeological Park in Colombia is home to the largest collection of megalithic sculptures in Latin America and is considered the world's largest necropolis. There are all kinds of statues here, which were likely carved between 5 and 400 CE. You'll find gigantic anthropomorphic figures of jaguars, crocodiles, and birds. Some statues stand as high as 23 feet, or about 7 meters. Others are smaller, but still very impressive. We still don't know exactly who created them or why. What is clear is that a lot of the statues appear to guard burial mounds, which means maybe the ancient culture believed in protecting the deceased in the afterlife. The site was first documented by a Spanish monk in the 18th century, but it wasn't until much later that serious excavations happened. And today, San Agustín is an UNESCO World Heritage Site with over 500 statues scattered across more than 50 square kilometers. Great Zimbabwe, found in modern-day Zimbabwe, is one of Africa's most incredible ancient sites and the largest collection of ruins south of the Sahara. Legend has it that this is where the biblical Queen of Sheba once ruled, but in reality the city existed between the 11th and 15th centuries. The exact identity of the people who built it was debated for years, with a lot of the colonial government in Rhodesia outright refusing to believe that the advanced city was built by native Africans, but today it's generally accepted that the Shona people built the city. At one point, Great Zimbabwe was home to around 18,000 people, and its massive stone walls, some reaching 5 meters or about 16.5 feet in height, were built without any mortar. Nan Madol in Micronesia is an ancient city built on over 100 tiny islets, earning its nickname Venice of the Pacific. There's a lot of mystery behind how it was built. Local legends say two wizard brothers, Olishipa and Oloshipa, arrived from across the sea in a giant canoe, and they wanted to create a place to honor the gods of the sea and harvest. After two failed attempts to move giant stones to the site, they used the magic of a dragon to levitate the blocks. Nan Madol's construction is still being studied today. The people who built it didn't have pulleys, cranes, no metal tools, so it's believed they moved nearly 2,000 tons of stone every year for over 400 years. How they managed this, especially in such a remote area, is still one of history's greatest mysteries. Angkor Wat in Cambodia is one of the most jaw-dropping ancient structures in the world. It's also the largest religious monument in the world. It was originally built in the early 12th century, designed as a Hindu temple dedicated to the god Vishnu. By the 14th century, it had become a Buddhist temple, which it remains to this day. The entire temple complex is surrounded by a massive moat. The main temple rises up with 5 towering spires representing the 5 peaks of Mount Meru, the center of the Hindu universe. The walls are etched with incredible images of mythical creatures and battle scenes, and the craftsmanship is so intricate that it really feels like a completely different world. And that's just from images and video I've seen. I can only imagine what it'd be like actually stepping into this place. And Angkor Wat is just part of what was once a much larger city, Angkor, which once housed over 1 million people. And that's massive when you consider it was built in a time long before cranes and other modern tools. Over the centuries, the jungle slowly is creeping back in, and it's overtaking a lot of the city, leaving behind this incredible hidden world that wasn't fully rediscovered until the 19th century. Definitely a place I gotta add to my list of places I want to go. With all that said, I've been your host, James, and I will catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next video.